me try and get my lights adjusted here. Pyra Draculea with, I think this is take 3 of doing a live stream today. It is what it is, eh? And anyways, I am still obviously a newbie, and we are trying to get moving with some doodling. Last time I did a little bit of drawing the Cheez E Rat's Pizzeria Playhouse. This is for my webcomic Noah's Archipelago, wherein the main character's daughter Ursula is tasked with coming up with a way to improve the world. Let me try and adjust. I realize also that YouTube likes to put things vertical when I'm trying to have them be all horizontal. So that's fun. Anyways, let's just get into it. So the idea is that Noah's daughter Ursula, and let's draw Ursula. This is the wrong pen. Of course, it's one of those days. Anyways, Ursula, so far the one eye, has been tasked by her 3rd grade teacher in figuring out something that would benefit society. The problem is, because Ursula normally doesn't care about her homework, the problem is that her classmates are going to vote on all these suggestions, and whoever wins the vote gets this really cool sticker book. And Ursula likes stickers. So she needs her classmates to vote for her idea. And the teacher also said she's not allowed to do her first idea, which is to present on why the school should be bulldozed and homework should be banned. So she's left with trying to figure out the next best thing. And she's complaining to her brothers, Duke and Adam, who are much older, and they tell her, if you want all the kids to vote for you, talk about how the school cafeteria should be replaced with Chuck E. Cheese, but for copyright reasons, we're calling it Cheez E Rats. Anyway, so now Ursula's doing research on that. And what's going to be happening soon is a crossover with my other comic, which is Ricky B. the Rock and Roll Rat. Let's start sketching Ricky in here. Because Ursula finds out one way that you do research is you ask an expert. Well, Ricky is an expert in, he is a rat, for one thing, and he's also really into cheese and pizza, so she figures he's somebody who's good to ask about this sort of thing. So now we're kind of caught up with the background. And in our last live stream, we figured out this little mascot thing. Anyways, let's do some doodling for when... well, I don't know. Am I actually in the webcomic going to have Ricky and Ursula going and discovering cheesy rats? Or are we going to save that for a later project? We'll find out. So, and actually, in the chat, although nobody's there other than me right now, but I do have my other account, Ricky B. the Rock and Roll Rat, in the chat. But, if I don't see anybody else logging in, I don't see why I should go in and say hello to myself from my other account. Anyways, we've been having some technical difficulties today. Earlier, when I started going live, I had like a 1-minute delay, and then I couldn't figure out where the audio was coming from because I thought I had everything on silent. But anyways, these things don't matter. Next week, I am going to play around with a document camera, which that might make it even worse. I don't know. So anyways, now we got Ricky, and actually, I don't know, because I also paint Ricky, and I don't put chest hair on him when I paint him, but I don't know. I guess sometimes his girlfriend Barbara, aka Baby Ratson, makes him shave his chest or something. I don't know. So that's how it is. So let's start with some more doodling. We have Ursula and we have Ricky, and I am looking at the stream through the Ricky channel on my laptop, and for you guys, everything is this way. But anyways, whatever. I guess you could say fix it in the mix, but I guess you really can't, eh? Oh, I'm watching the delay. I have no idea what's going on technical wise. So anyways, let's assume that the first thing Ursula's going to do, we'll just put these guys off in a little frame here. First thing she's going to have to do is go knock on Ricky's door, right? So Ursula, kind of a bad hair day, perpetual bad hair day. But I also kind of, when I started doing it, I had her hair very, straight ponytails and the bowl cut bangs and all that, but that was kind of boring. So now I make her hair a little more expressive, and the more upset or frazzled she is, the wilder her hair gets. So anyways, also I realize it's January, she's just wearing a t-shirt. It's the cartoon universe, So anyways, she's got to go and she's got to knock on the door. The problem is that Ricky does not live alone. He's only 23 and he lives in Mama Rat's basement. So the first problem is she's going to encounter Mama Rat. And Mama Rat, we'll put a little spy hole thing. Will Mama Rat still have a Christmas wreath up? Maybe she will. But, they're rats, so maybe their Christmas wreaths have cheese on them. I don't know. I did post the first version of the link on the Noah's Archipelago and Ricky B. Rat Facebook pages, but then that was 2 minutes before I first went live, and then that stream, I think I did have to kill it. So, I just deleted that. But I will post this when it gets uploaded the next day. So, yeah, there's your first hint, Ursula, that this is a strange household. The Christmas wreath has wedges of cheese in it, which kind of makes sense. Well, actually, it doesn't, because rats don't. I mean, they'll eat cheese. Some of them like it, but they kind of prefer grain and fruit. And actually, what I heard is they really like booze. Uh, you start posting or researching about something, and then the algos all eavesdrop on your conversations and what you post, so they start adjusting things that way. So I started seeing all these posts from oh, hello, Randy, hi. Glad I looked up. I'm like, oh, that looks like a chat other than just the generic YouTube thing. So, hello, Randy. So what I was starting to say is, Facebook starts serving up all this stuff that thinks you might be interested in. So as soon as I had a cartoon character who was a rat, of course, all these rat pet groups come up. And so I learned quite a lot about actual rat behavior. And here I was thinking that, Ricky being a young dude and kind of a punk rocker, I thought I was being all creative and whatnot with having this rat character who likes getting drunk on the weekends and all this. And then I start reading posts from people who own actual rats, and they're making posts about, hey, when I let my rat run around free after dinner, uh, I'm having a glass of wine with my buddies, and my rat comes up and sticks his whole head in my wine glass and starts chugging. I read that, I'm like, really? Here I thought I was being so creative. No, I was just apparently being correct. They like getting wasted. So, anyways, I guess that just makes Ricky less cartoonish and more accurate. Anyways, so now we've got our little Christmas wreath going. And there we go. And anyways, so it's a whole universe I've come up with Ricky and whatnot. And anyways, so I'm not gonna info dump too much, but suffice to say, there's also mice around, but they live on the other side of the canyon, and the mice and the rats don't get along because what I found out, apparently in the real world, rats eat mice. But when they're humanoid, that's kind of a little too horrifying. At least it's not that kind of a comic series. It's not a horror series. It's just goofy. So we don't really get into that. Although Ricky's girlfriend Baby has a cousin who's half rat, half mouse. He also has a personality where you probably want to beat him up, except he knows jujitsu. So even though he's short, he might return the favor. Um, Anyways, I think my point was that they don't really necessarily like cheese, or they're not supposed to like cheese, although every time my dad has set traps to capture and kill rats in his garage or whatever, they always go for the cheese and it always gets them killed. So, I don't know. But I guess they do like fruit and greens better anyway. So there's Mama Rat has a nice green door. Or am I saying green? The wreath is green. The door is orange. You'd think is there like a color version of dyslexia? I don't think so. I think it's just me looking at one marker and drawing with the other. Anyways, so I was really kind of liking that sketch. So maybe when I get to the point where Ursula needs to go consult with an expert, maybe she is gonna go knock on Ricky's door, and we'll kind of have that as like a teaser. Something maybe before the weekend or whatever, right? Or on the weekend, because I usually post Noah's Archipelago on Monday, Wednesday, Friday officially, unless I'm lazy, and then sometimes I skip one. So there we go. I never realized just how orange Ursula's hair really is, although usually I kind of think of it as a little bit more brown. That's going to probably be too dark. Yeah, that's too dark. So anyways, we're going to leave her with orange hair. And yeah, let's go for monochrome and give her a green t-shirt. There we go. So then she's going to have to knock on the door and deal with Mama Rat. So let's draw in Mama Rat. Yeah, move this so it's a little more easy to see. Mama Rat does not have the same buggy kind of eyes that the characters in Noah's Archipelago have. She just has reading glasses. Funny thing is, I draw Mama Rat like she's an old lady, but if Ricky's only 23, um, then, logically, Mama Rat wouldn't be all that old. She'd be she'd be my age, basically. She'd be in her late 40s, so. And little does Ursula know, we probably won't bother with it in the upcoming cartoon thing, but there has been a bit of in the Ricky marker sketches, there has been kind of a thing where Mama Rat always has chores, so when Ricky's friends come over, she ropes them in. She got that half rat, half mouse cousin of Ricky's girlfriend to help with painting the spare room one time. Mind you, his name's Miles, and it's also kind of Miles's fault because he should have just said, "Look, lady, I'm here to hang out with Ricky," but Miles, for all his attitude and whatnot, finds it difficult to say no. So he's easily guilt tripped. Getting a bit of smearing from the pigment pens, but oh well. I should probably just dump all my markers out because I would find things faster, but anyways. Again, Mama Rat. Hello. gonna get your name wrong because it's Cyrillic. So starting with H dash E. Looks like ego or whatnot. I'm sorry. I should, because I have some Eastern European ancestry, I should be able to read Cyrillic, but I can't. So hello. And I will not attempt to make it any worse by trying to pronounce, but I as well. There we go. So there's Mama Rat, and she's probably thinking, what chores can I have this small human child do? But what she's actually going to say is, what do you want? So, there we go. And Ursula, of course, going to want to ask if Ricky can come out and play. Of course, when I do this in Procreate, it'll look a lot more, finished and stuff. I should actually write that down so I don't feel. Hello to you as well. Now, can Ricky? Obviously, Ursula can come out to play. She already is. So we'll just skip the rest of that little interaction. And Ricky, I mean, like the interaction where Mama Rat has questions and interrogations. Oh, I just realized I drew her earrings wrong. I drew her earrings to match her son's earrings. That's not going to work. Anyways, so now we're going to get Ricky coming out. Totally not what an actual cleft chin looks like, but it's how I always draw them. I just realized I've been forgetting tails. Kind of important for the rat folks. They do have tails. Probably makes it rather inconvenient for the whole clothing thing, but Where's... And Ricky's a pretty friendly guy. He's going to say, howdy, neighbor. And maybe he's going to be asking if she has any cookies, because her dad does a lot of baking. But Ursula kind of only likes the chocolate chip ones. But so sometimes she shares. Anyways, that's kind of getting off on a whole tangent, because the real purpose of this whole interaction is that Ursula is going to be asking if he knows what he knows about Chuck. I keep wanting to say Chuck E. Cheese because that's the real life one, but I have to remember in the cartoon I'm calling it Cheez E Rats. If I bring it up a little, kind of get it off. kind of didn't plan this in advance, but maybe we'll have where Ursula's got a little notepad or something. You know, after all, she's asking an expert, basically asking him to do her homework project for her, so she better take some notes. Poorly, but in a better drawn manner. So, what's Ricky gonna say? Yeah, Ricky is missing the point entirely. It's kind of a given that he's a rat and she knows that, and that she would know that he likes cheese. So, but you know, this is kind of what they call it, the vomit draft part of things, where you just get the idea down and you make it better later. Ricky's got his little punk rock leather jacket there. Oh yeah. Tail up. I don't know if rats use their tails for signaling in any actual way, because an actual rat, the tail is quite long and heavy comparatively, so I don't think they're picking it up and swinging it around or wagging or anything like that. Maybe they do, I don't know. But in the cartoons, they absolutely do, eh? So, anyways, at some point, you know, Ursula's going to explain what her brothers told them, and then we'll kind of skip over that, because what I wanted to do, and well, I started late, but I'm still like halfway, half an hour in or so. Why don't we go on to the whole Ricky and Ursula in search of Chuck E. Cheese? Oops, I did it again. Cheez E rats. Remember, don't do other people's trademark stuff, because if you do, then you have to ask the permission, and that sucks. So, anyways, good. I just had an idea that I'm probably gonna draw in a kind of a weird fashion, but what if, you know, that scene in Wizard of Oz where they're on the yellow brick road and then they see Oz, the Emerald City, for the first time, right? You could kind of do a bit of a parody of that, I think. Uh, the door would be like that. Something where Ursula and Ricky see cheesy rats off in the distance, and we'll even pretend that the building has a tail. But you know what would be fun, actually? It'd be if the building, quote unquote, tail was one of those like long slides. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be fun. Actually, I guess the scaffolding would go on the outside. Oh, am I even? No, I'm still sort of in the frame. Be really cool would be if it was like a roller coaster, but that's kind of a little bit of a big ask for like a theme park restaurant, but you know. But it kind of then looks like a tail. Anyways, of course, for accessibility reasons, they will have to have a ramp as well. And I clearly don't know how to draw a ramp, but you know, this is where reference photos come in handy. And then there's going to be, you know, all your parking stalls and whatnot. But we don't want to go too much further on that because we want to leave room for Ricky and Ursula. I imagine having a tail would be a bit of a problem as far as clothing goes, but kind of go around that by assuming that there's a little notch at the bottom of Ricky's jacket. And presumably also a notch at the top of his pants, but that would be kind of a odd thing if people had big tails. It's like, okay, what would we have to do? We would have to adjust how our chairs are designed, for one thing, but definitely would impact how clothes work as well. Aish, I hope I said that right. Hi, Aish. And thank you. Glad you're enjoying the drawings. So glad this time I have the stream up on my laptop so I can actually see it. Last time I didn't notice until like the end. I'm like, what are these? Wait, there's text above the end of my phone? Oh crap, and I missed it. So every week I intend to improve my tech setup just a wee bit. Be slightly less inept, but hey, it's the new year, new hobby with the live streaming, so we're kind of taking it as it comes. Wow, that is very strange Ursula hair there. So I have actually thought that it would be kind of fun with this cheesy rats thing to have it like a graphic novel, as if it was these two went on a quest. So some of that this might not so much end up in the Noah's Archipelago short little arc, but might end up being set aside and planned for later. But let's add a little bit of color. Why not? So, now the thing is, if they're going to be like a castle, are they really going to be a castle? Like gray? I guess that's how I'm drawing it. If I do this as a graphic novel, it'll be black and white anyways, right? But, I mean, not that graphic novels have to be, but I would be self-publishing, and, if I did it in full color, it ends up being ridiculously expensive. Although I'm working on an anthology, the first anthology for Noah's Archipelago, and I think I calculated that I can have that, even at full color, come out at about 30 bucks Canadian, which still seems high for what amounts to a comic book, but I guess inflation or whatever. Anyways, that's a whole other thing, so could be color. We'll see. But I do kind of like black and white as well. Of course, the door is going to have some windows in it that will be round. How this opens, I don't know. I guess what they would actually do would be to have it a double door and you just open the two inside. Otherwise, anyways. That's not really our problem to figure out. That's the architect's problem. Of course, because I'm drawing the cartoon, I guess that means I'm the architect. So at least I don't. At least I don't gotta build it in real life, right? Let's give it a nice kind of flesh color for the slide, as if it was the tail. And Ricky would also have that. I don't really have like I mean, this always ends up looking a little bit overdone. Um, I had actually done a drawing earlier today of Ursula's dad, and just using that as kind of the outline, it looked like he had streaks of sunburn on his face, but it is what it is. So. Ricky's hair I always kind of do as a bit of a blue-black, which is a bit of a nod to my teenage punk days and goth. It's like you couldn't just dye your hair black. You had to go blue-black for maximum effect. Of course, it only ever really looked bluish if you had just had your hair bleached blonde. As soon as you put another coat of it over top, it just looked black. But, that's beside the point. So there's Ricky. Yeah. Oh, finally found my light gray marker. So, earrings. This is starting to make it look like this cheesy rat's place can't decide whether it's a Chuck E. Cheese ripoff or a Medieval Times ripoff. The whole themed restaurant thing, I guess, is kind of a thing in the 80s. Kind of, mind you, they never had a Chuck E. Cheese where I grew up. At least I was pretty sure I didn't remember one, and then I asked my older brother, and he went off on this whole rant about how he wished they had had one because he would have spent all his allowance on tokens for the arcade, but they didn't have one, and you know, not when we were kids, and we didn't ever go. We weren't. Our parents were not going to drive us like 3 hours to the closest one, so give it some trees. Feel like this is actually built up on a fake hill, that it's actually completely flat land, but they put a basement in and then just built a fake grassy knoll around it. Oops, that's kind of getting my. Well, I guess they used to call the Kennedy administration Camelot, so I guess that's where that comes from with the castle, but definitely the wrong sort of themed entertainment. The fact that there's no cars here either means that it's first thing in the morning and the place isn't even open, in which case they're just going to be sitting on the steps for quite some time, or it means that business is very slow. But probably it just means they're super early, which I guess makes sense. Ursula's parents are going to make her go to school and not let her skip school to go off on a wild goose chase looking for rat-themed pizza restaurants. So, you know, she's got to get this in before she's got to go to school. Yeah, we'll indicate there's a bit of a blue sky, but not too much. And I think last time there had been talk about like mashup or whatever crossover meeting between Ricky and Cheez E Rats. So let's kind of draw that frame. Now, of course, Cheez E Rats is just a human teenager, right? Wearing a costume. So he's going to have the same kind of bug eyes, and he's probably going to be confused. Yeah, let's get a. Well, he's a teenager. We'll give him a few zits. Because that's just part of life at that age, right? The teenager would be very confused by an actual talking rat showing up at wanting to talk to him. So going to have a little overlap with one of the drawings I did last time where the teenager is holding his costume head, but you know, that's fine. Well, that's just practice for me. I think last time I had the mascot wearing a shirt for the rock band, the 80s rock band Rats. I'll just put two T's at the end to indicate that's what he's wearing. They would probably want to, well, you know, that would be a pretty sweet deal for them to do, where if you did have a restaurant like that, have the place play, what was their big song, Round and Round, every hour on the hour. Tail is connected to the suit with a little string so it doesn't get knocked off. That mascot head's a little too small, but that's fine. Has the kid thinking this was not in the training manual. mascot needs some whiskers. I think I screwed up and didn't give him whiskers in the previous drawings, but oh well. This is why we do the brainstorming stuff. Give the teenager some flop sweat to show he's very nervous. Or that the suit's just like really, really hot. Ricky, arms wide open. Ricky has only recently learned that some folks aren't rats. So, it's nice to see, I guess in his mind, it's nice to see somebody trying their best to understand where he's coming from or whatever. We'll have Ursula sort of down here at the bottom of the frame. If we're practical, she's going to want to know more about what it would take to get Cheesy Rats to take over the school cafeteria duties. It should be noted Ursula doesn't actually know what a hostile takeover is. It's just that she's heard that it sometimes happens in the grown-up world and it sounds very sophisticated. We'll give these guys some shadows. And let's color in the suit. Yeah, what am I doing? I'm coloring in the t-shirt. That don't work. Oh well. Again, brainstorming sketches. That's fine. suppose we should probably give Cheez E Rat some mascot pants as well, but I guess for right now he's doing the Winnie the Pooh thing. Let's make the t-shirt orange. Do it that way. If I did keep the joke where he's wearing a t-shirt for the band Rat, I would probably do like the German spelling where it's R-A-T-T-E. Put that at the end. Because then technically it's a tank that was never made. But anyways, there we go. That and that. What's a good pimple color? Maybe this. Oops, that's the wrong one. Come on, they don't even look close to the same, but whatever. Purple hair tie. I don't remember if I gave it a color in the last one. It don't matter. So For now, I'm just going to make the ground kind of grass green. But what one would really want to do is, those crazy patterned carpets that they had in the 80s. As a kid, I used to go roller skating at Stardust in Richmond, BC. And it was like kind of like black and purple with like random yellow triangles and blue squiggles and all this kind of like party atmosphere uh, thing. But they didn't draw that in yet, but that would probably be a fun thing to do if I was going to do this as like a painting or whatever. Yeah, for now I'm just going to put the blue sky, but we'd probably want to, well, it depends whether these guys caught the teenager out on a smoke break outside or whether they got into the restaurant and they're saying hi to him in the arcade, in which case there'd probably be a whole bunch of little kids wrapped around going like, oh my God, that's the real cheese. That's the real cheesy rat. This other guy is a fraud. Well, that could be part of the plot line too, I guess. Just make a note here. All right, so, well, I guess we'll give Ricky his blue-black punk hair color. And I think we're going to call it for now because it's just under an hour that I have been live. So we got a couple drawings done here. I'll just flip it back through. So that was the first sketch, those two together to kind of explain, and then Ursula going to knock on Ricky's door. And the holiday wreath has wedges, plastic wedges of cheese. Obviously, wouldn't be real cheese, but kind of like ours are. They're not real flowers, they're plastic flowers, plastic balls or whatever. And then we got Mama Rat, Ursula, and Ricky. Ricky getting right to the point with the cookies. Ursula asks about cheesy rats, and I spelled it wrong because I spelled it properly, but the restaurant is cheese with a Z. So we had that little thing, and then a little scene where they actually go and they find the cheesy rats. I was just popping into my head that it would be kind of fun if it was like a whole thing, like as if they had like a mini roller rink in the back or something. Like it was like a whole like kid destination, which, well, the real Chuck E. Cheese is kind of that, or it was. I don't know. I hear they're not doing so well these days. But anyways, so we got the empty parking lot, and then we got the meeting the teenager. So I'm going to call it there for tonight. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to be trying to do a live stream, like brainstorming or whatever, kind of every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific. Not too long, about an hour or so, at least for now. And next time, I actually, instead of right now, I'm streaming from my phone. But I do have a document camera, which I would have that here and angled over or whatever. So we might try that next time, and then I would be streaming from my laptop. I don't know if that would fix the whole thing where, at least what I'm seeing on my laptop, monitoring the stream is vertical, but the camera is actually horizontal, and like, anyways, I don't know if I can fix that problem that way, or if it's something I just messed up in the setup. But we'll try and fix something every week until we get it going well. But it's kind of a fun little thing, I think, to do this kind of brainstorming. And hey, there's things when I started the stream, I did not know that the Cheez E Rats was going to look like a castle and have a giant tail like outside slide. So, kind of fun to do though, that brainstorming, and kind of fun to share. So, thanks again for watching, and hope you've enjoyed it, and hope you can catch a video again in the future. So, have a great week. Bye for now. I guess I should wave this way. It's the proper way. So, see you next time, hopefully, and have a great week. Bye for now.